Are you trapped in an illusion, unveiling the truth of reality? Many people still can't grasp why ancient sages like the Buddha declared this world to be empty and illusory. Because of this fundamental misunderstanding, when challenges arise, they instinctively judge external circumstances and blame outside forces. It's like we're changing a script, but getting so caught up in the drama, we forget we're the playwright, not just the lead character. Those who suffer often act like directors who failed to see their script as a game. They constantly think about the director's role from the perspective of the main actor. Yet, when playing the main actor, they don't fully immerse themselves in the role, constantly worrying if the director's script has flaws. As a result, they can't live fully in the present, leading to anxiety and even personality disorders. For many, the thoughts in their minds, the changes in the world they observe, and even phenomena they can't comprehend all appear incredibly real. Yet, the Buddha taught, all conditioned phenomena are like a dream, an illusion, a bubble, a shadow, like dew or a flash of lightning. Thus should one view them. Diamond Sutra. Understandably, some might ask, are these ancient teachings flawed? We are living such tangible lives, yet it says everything is illusory? If these teachings are true, what blinds us as ordinary beings to mistake illusion for reality? In this video, we'll explore these profound questions together. If you have your own insights, please share them in the comments. Now, let's begin. The illusion of the external world. A deeper look. How can we say the external world is just an illusion? The physical world before our eyes clearly feels so real. I'm living, breathing, touching. How can it be empty and illusory? Isn't that just self-deception? This is actually a very common misconception. Some interpret emptiness, sunyata, in an extreme way, believing that they don't exist, the world doesn't exist, and nothing truly matters. They might stop aspiring for anything, thinking that pursuit itself is suffering. However, most people think, I exist, clearly, and this world obviously exists. As a result, they turn the concept of emptiness into a mere psychological self-suggestion. In reality, all these viewpoints only see a part of the picture, not the whole. First, you are real. This world is real. The phone in front of you is real. Clearly, you and I are distinct individuals. Your phone and mine are not the same. This world is comprised of countless differences. Without these differences, this rich and diverse world would not exist. You might ask, aren't you contradicting the concept of emptiness? Actually, no, I am not. Pay attention to my wording. I speak of differences. Differences are real, but I am not differentiating between those differences. The world has differences, but these are merely tools to help us experience life. The confusion doesn't arise from the differences themselves, but from our arbitrary act of distinguishing and choosing between them, which then gives rise to all sorts of doubts. Ultimately, we can't tell what's real and what's illusory. Let me give you an example. Every day when you drive, you encounter traffic lights. Red and green lights are two differences. If you only like green lights and dislike red lights, then every time you encounter a red light, you'll feel annoyed and frustrated. But when you get a green light, you'll be happy and joyful. So, in this scenario, what's real and what's illusory? The existence of the red and green lights is real, but the frustration when you hit a red light or the joy when you get a green light are illusory, because those emotions are created by you. Perhaps one day your mood is excellent, your heart full of joy, and you won't even care about red or green lights. From this, we can see that emotions and moods are unstable. Differences exist objectively because we are not distinguishing them. This world also exists objectively. But when you attach emotional elements to these differences, such as good or bad, right or ugly, good or evil, then the difference becomes a distinction and a judgment. At this point, your mind begins to fragment, and you start seeing the world through a lens of prejudice. It is then that your world becomes illusory and no longer real, because the world you perceive is merely a reflection of your inner self. Furthermore, at that moment, you are perceiving everything through distinction and selection, so you cannot see the whole truth. That's why your world is illusory. Perhaps after some time, your perception changes, and when you look back at the same issue, it's no longer as it was before. But the objective truth doesn't change. It doesn't transform just because your perception is different, or because you've gained more understanding. If you find that a certain truth changes, it only proves that what you once considered truth was not an absolute truth. Because these distinctions and separations are merely expressions of personal emotions and cannot represent the real world. When you use a discriminating mind to view the world, yourself, and others, the world you perceive also becomes illusory. When you understand this principle and observe the world as well as yourself with this awareness in daily life, you will realize that both reality and illusion are products of your consciousness and notions. When you truly experience this, you will be able to accept everything, good and bad, right and wrong, gain and loss. At that point, the concepts of reality and illusion will cease to exist. You will only see that everything simply exists under specific conditions and circumstances. When we say all sentient beings are equal, it means that a tree and a blade of grass are fundamentally not different in nature. This doesn't deny the differences between a tree and grass, but rather points out that both are equally forms of existence. No form of existence is inherently superior or more beautiful than another. True emptiness needs to be understood, but understanding is just one way to approach it. To truly grasp emptiness, you need to experience it yourself, because theoretical knowledge alone cannot lead to enlightenment. What I've shared is just a personal perspective to approach the problem, and it's not the complete picture. As long as you find a way to enter and delve deeper, you will certainly gain something: modern science and the nature of reality. Furthermore, the development of modern science also helps us better understand emptiness. Modern quantum physics has demonstrated that the components that make up matter don't actually exist in a fixed state. Instead, they are merely a field of energy. In this field, what we temporarily call particles don't exist in a predefined state before consciousness participates in observation. It is precisely this indeterminate state that allows a particle to exist in all possible possibilities. But when consciousness participates in observation, the state of the particle is immediately determined, and simultaneously, other possibilities cease to exist. When consciousness withdraws, the particle returns to its original indeterminate state. This process is one perspective for understanding emptiness, just as modern science in physics and medicine can help us delve deeper into this concept. Take a simple example of human senses. Among the 5 senses, sight, hearing, smell, taste, and touch, sight is the system that helps us receive the largest amount of information. Our eyes are not truly three-dimensional. Why do I say that? Because when we open our eyes, what we see is always a flat surface. Thanks to having 2 eyes, we can perceive distance due to the angle of our eyeballs. But in essence, what we see is merely the reflection of a 3-dimensional world onto a 2-dimensional plane within our field of vision. For example, when you see a person on a screen, if they are facing the camera, you can only see their front, not the back of their head. In life, when observing any object, we can only use our 2-dimensional eyes to perceive a 3-dimensional world. So, why do we feel so familiar with the 3-dimensional world? It's because we can change our perspective, not being fixed at a single angle, but able to observe the world from many different directions. This means that the world our eyes see may only be a small part of reality. Furthermore, the human eye can only see the light spectrum from red to violet, while infrared and ultraviolet rays are invisible to us. Similarly, the human ear can only hear sounds within the frequency range of 20 Hz to 20,000 Hz. Frequencies outside this range are completely inaudible. In reality, what we hear are just vibrations. There's no such thing as sound itself. Sound is only created when we interpret and assign meaning to those vibrations, thus forming different sounds with different meanings. These insights give us a perspective to understand emptiness. Whether it's light or sound, all are merely wave oscillations, and the images or sounds we perceive are actually just reflections within our visual and auditory systems. However, human senses are limited. Therefore, we don't need to step out of an illusory world, but rather we should step into the truth. Spiritual practice is about training ourselves to see the truth, to see the complete nature of the world. When we truly understand that all images and sounds exist based on our interpretation and perception, and that everything is merely a reflection from our consciousness, we will no longer seek solutions from the outside. Instead, we will turn inward, observing and understanding our own inner self. Gradually, you will see your true nature. Understanding emptiness is to recognize phenomena, to understand yourself. Experiencing emptiness is to find your true self, and from there to self-regulate. Life as a symphony, the power of the present moment. For instance, this world is like a symphony playing from the strings of our minds. Each person is a musician, plucking the strings of their soul to create their own melody. Your world is the music you create. The sounds emanating from your instrument are your vibrational frequency at that moment. If your mind is peaceful, the music you create will be serene, and your world will also be peaceful. If your mind is anxious, the music will be anxious, and your world will be full of turmoil. If your mind is filled with fear, your life will be a symphony of fear. If your mind is full of resentment, your life will also be full of resentment. When analyzing music, we see that each note exists only in the present moment, then immediately dissolves into emptiness. An entire piece of music is, in fact, an illusion. It has no fixed existence, because when a note sounds, it immediately disappears into space, while future notes remain in an undefined state. A piece of music cannot last from beginning to end in a fixed way, only the existence of each note in the present moment. The music also tells us that only the present exists. The past and future are unreal. They are merely illusions that do not exist. When we look at the notes in a piece of music, we see them as things that arise and cease, impermanent. They come from emptiness and then return to emptiness. From beginning to end, there is truly only the existence of the note in the present moment. Only the vibrational frequency at that instant is real. The beginning or end of a piece of music is merely an illusion. That's why, when a musician plays, each time they touch a string, they focus completely on the note sounding in that moment. They forget the previous note and don't worry about the next one. It is precisely through this complete focus on each note in the present that the entire piece can flow smoothly and beautifully. If the musician keeps thinking about past notes or worrying about upcoming ones, the music will become chaotic. Every piece of music reflects the thoughts in the musician's mind. Whatever notions they hold in their heart will be expressed through each note. Therefore, music is a reflection of the musician's inner thoughts. A piece of music can only be felt and enjoyed. You cannot possess it, cannot grasp it with your hands, nor can you make a note last forever. Once you try to hold on to a note, you will inevitably be disappointed and suffer. Our lives are like that piece of music. Your life is a reflection of your beliefs and thoughts. Whatever beliefs you hold, so will be your life. The notes of life teach us that only the present moment exists. The past and future are inherently unreal. You can only live in the present. If you try to hold on to the past or grasp the future, your life will be full of suffering, chaos, and vexation. Through the understanding and contemplation of music, we can realize the truth of the world and comprehend the essence of all phenomena are illusory. If you understand this, solving all problems in life will become simple. You just need to firmly grasp the present moment, allowing your mind to rest right here, right now. Maintain full awareness and presence. Know clearly what you are doing, what you are thinking, what you desire, and who you truly are. Always remain grounded in your own energy center. Don't let external forms pull you away, and don't let internal thoughts sweep you away. When you can do this, you will firmly grasp the rhythm of your life symphony, and all your life's problems will naturally dissolve. Because only the present holds true power. If you cling to the past, constantly recalling the hurts others caused you, or keep hoping for something in the future, you will certainly be disappointed. This is because the future does not exist, and therefore your future goals cannot become reality. However, this doesn't mean you can't set goals. You need to understand that the nature of future goals is illusory. You can only focus intensely on the present moment, allowing the present moment to lead you to what is called the future. Then, your goals will naturally be achieved, just like a boat flowing downstream, steadily moving towards the shore. But that arrival at the shore also only happens in the present moment. There is no such thing as a future. Many people hope for enlightenment in the future, thus placing all their attention on anxieties and expectations about the future. But if you think that the future will come, enlightenment will never arrive. The truth is, the future is the present. Therefore, enlightenment can only occur right in the present moment. Only when you maintain stillness and peace in every present moment can you find enlightenment. If you wait for enlightenment in anxiety about the future, no matter how much you strive, enlightenment will never come. True enlightenment only occurs when you let go of expectations and always use awareness to observe the present, focusing on this moment, feeling it, comprehending it. Then, enlightenment will naturally appear. The search for enlightenment is like a gardener watering a flower. You can only water with a relaxed mindset, not expecting the flower to bloom at your desired pace. When the flower blooms, that's something you must forget. Once the time is right, the flower will naturally bloom, not because the gardener forces it, but because it wants to bloom. Enlightenment is similar. It's not the intellect that decides when enlightenment arrives, but consciousness itself awakens at its own rhythm. Our task is not to wish or push, but to let go of all expectations, rest in the present, and allow the power of this moment to create its own symphony. That is enlightenment. The wisdom of silence, understanding emptiness. A piece of music is truly beautiful only when the artist forgets the past notes, doesn't worry about the upcoming notes, and focuses solely on the note in the present. The famous Tang Dynasty poet Bai Ju Yi, in his poem Pipa Shing, tells the story of a girl playing the pipa. Her life, full of resentment and sorrow, is fully revealed through her music. Hearing her music, one could understand her inner world. In that poem, there is a very famous line, "At this moment, no sound is better than sound." Bai Ju Yi was also a lay Buddhist who deeply understood meditation. His verses are steeped in wisdom. The music we hear is the world we see. and the silence is the emptiness hidden within that music, the awareness hidden within the physical world. Sounds come from the silent void. Without stillness, there can be no sound. When we understand this, we can stand from the perspective of emptiness and appreciate the beauty of music, but without letting the emotions of the music control us. This is enlightenment without delusion. Enlightenment doesn't mean not playing music or not enjoying it, but understanding the true nature of music. Music is merely a continuation of mental notions that form an illusion. Whatever style or emotion a piece of music conveys, all are illusory, born from emptiness. However, even though music has an illusory nature, it doesn't mean it has no value. It is precisely within that emptiness that music becomes a wonderful, skillful means. Emptiness is the essence of music, and sound is its manifestation. Enjoying music is an experience, but we cannot possess any note, just as we cannot possess anything in life, including our bodies, families, or possessions. We can only be observers, experiencing, feeling, and merging with the flow. This is a life of awareness. Furthermore, the very moment of the present note is the gateway to harmony between sound and silence. Through this gateway, we can find the true nature of music, which is also the true nature of life. Similarly, by delving deep into the present moment, we can also find the true nature of our life's symphony. When you merge into the note of the present, you will realize your true face and reclaim your life's power. The Stratagem of the Empty Fort, a masterclass in inner stillness. The story of the Empty Fort stratagem from Romance of the Three Kingdoms is well known. Faced with 100,000 enemy troops, Zhuge Liang calmly sat on the city wall, playing a soothing melody on his zither. Those tranquil sounds instilled fear in the enemy, forcing them to retreat. Some might think Zhuge Liang took a great risk, but in reality, he was simply using truth to dispel illusion. Even though Sima Yi had 100,000 elite soldiers, that army was essentially just ideas in his mind. If Sima Yi's mind had been resolute, the 100,000 troops would have been a formidable force. But if his mind was chaotic and full of doubt, those 100,000 troops would become useless. Zhuge Liang, with a completely tranquil inner self, had delved deep into the nature of truth. By merging with the note of the present, he rested in truth and became one with the way. The sounds he played on his zither were his troops and horses in truth. He could command as many as he wished, but these troops were not visible warriors, but formless, invisible forces. Faced with this power, Sima Yi was naturally no match. Some might ask, what if Sima Yi had insisted on attacking? The answer is, he couldn't attack. Zhuge Liang's inner presence had disintegrated the power of the 100,000 troops. At that moment, that army was merely illusory ideas, no longer possessing real strength. This is profound wisdom. The Ming Dynasty sage Wang Yangming also repeatedly employed this wisdom on the battlefield, becoming almost invincible. This type of wisdom is called immovable mind, the secret to using truth to shatter all illusions. From this story, we can understand that the world we see seems very real, and we ourselves seem very small. But the truth is, this world is a symphony that we are playing, and all power lies in our hands. There is no true power outside of us. As long as we are aware and recognize this truth, then it will manifest. But if we remain immersed in illusion, our greatness is forgotten, and the illusory things become powerfully real, making us feel small. Therefore, Once you awaken, you will realize that you are the master of your symphony, and you will know how to play the melody of your life. What profound truth about reality or illusion resonated most with you today? Share your thoughts below. Your insights enrich our collective journey. If this deep dive into ancient wisdom brought you new clarity, please like this video to help us unlock more truths for others. For more profound insights and guidance on navigating life's illusions, be sure to follow Ancient Wisdom Unlocked. We're here to walk this path of discovery with you.